welcome back for another video. It's Eharbad. We're back in the old Rage Shadow Legends. Last time last time I was speaking to you, I guess, I was doing my CvC Remnant summons. It was a bonkers CvC, 36 million on the clan that I'm in. I did just under a million myself, 950,000, by far the most I've ever done in a CvC. I think previously maybe it was 450 was the most I'd ever done. Bonkers. And we actually sniped it. We were losing most of it, but I think we pushed out about 3 million points in the last 10 minutes. Yeah, it was brutal, absolutely brutal. And we actually ended up second overall on the global. But the personal rewards are ours. Obviously, we spent a lot more resources than we got back, but yeah, it is what it is, right? Something fun to do every now and then. Hopefully, won't have to do that again for another 2 years. But used quite a lot of resources, mostly on the booking side. I used about 50 rare tomes, about 50 or 60 epic tomes, 10 legendary and 10 mythical. I summoned 2 legendaries from the fragments, past fragment fusions. I've still got a bunch more, but I summoned 2 of them. I summoned my remnant summons, which included a mythical. I had probably about 9,500 silver bars, and I got just under 5,000. Forged a lot of pieces. Still actually need to finish clearing out the inbox as a consequence. Spent about 3,000 gems across Minnow, Ice Golem, Spider, Sand Devil, and Phantom Shogun. I kind of did a bit of everything. I did the the Sand Devil tournament. I did the turn attack, enough to get the Prism Soul, but then I didn't push any further in that. I also did some Sand Devil and Shogun within the missions, and then I was in Ice Golem trying to get this 20 mythical. And in Minotaur, I was there not just getting Authorian, I also was working on, I think he's now in, I don't know where he's hiding. Where is it? Keep scrolling. Andok, Authorian. I did a bit on Gwyneth, and I did Zargala 2. I got to T6. So I did a good chunk on masteries as well. Used every piece of energy refill I had across the board. And that's kind of it, really. Still had some silver left over. Actually ended up going net up in silver. And obviously we've got a decent gem stockpile still. And in terms of what I actually summoned, it was a 3-star Geomancer. So unfortunately, we weren't particularly lucky. We got the lowest star rating, the lowest quality rating that we could possibly pick up. I was hoping really for either Eastrid, Padraig, or ideally a Michinaki was what I really wanted. It wasn't to be. Now, the reason I'm actually making this video, other than the little recap of CvC, is to talk about the Wixwell Path. When I first looked at it, I opened it when it dropped when I was at work, and it looked pretty ugly. There's a lot of key requirements, 35,000 here. You can see some keys dotted around all over the place, and I was like, it looks quite painful. We know you only get 4,500 per sacred, and you can see even just the soul itself is 35,000. And you're like, not sure I want to do this. But it does go with champion training. And I hope this champion training has the same points that a normal, if I could actually speak correctly, hero path gives. That looks the same, and rank upgrades, yep, that is the same as I have it. So if we go back here, I would say in terms of pathing, it's fairly straightforward. We would go down here and then just cross over. Basically, 25 gems is worth more than 75 energy. 75 gems is worth more than 225 energy. I prefer the Sand Devil to Shogun resources because we have, 2 times the number of slots that we need to upgrade. And the bottom row gives you the biggest net gain overall. So yeah, basically overall I prefer Sand Devil. So I'd go down this path, and the other thing I prefer about this left-hand path is we get the 6-star speed glyph, which I ranked more. If I could speak, I rate more highly or rank more highly. I was halfway in between the two words than the 6-star Chaos Ore. We'll then pick up both sets of keys, assuming you want to get more than 3-star soul. You only need to pick up one set. Otherwise, pick up both sets and power through the middle. You'd pick up the 4-star. Then we need to do either the left-hand side with our remaining key to pick up those extra 2 keys for here, or the right-hand side. Again, I am going to favour Sand Devil over Phantom Shogun. So I'll take the left-hand side, pick up a Legendary Tome and the 2 keys, get Wixwell 5-star, and then it's really a question of whether you want to push even further. The 100 tier 3 is quite attractive on both sides, although I have begun to notice I have enough tier 3. It's actually the tier 2 that I'm lacking, which is an interesting one. You could pick up one of these and the avatar, or you could pick up this 250 coins here, or the immortal there. I'd probably rate a quarter of a tier 3 higher than a tier 2, so I would prefer this on the right hand side. Similarly, I would actually prefer 5 tier 3 to 20, 5 tier 2 essence versus 20 tier 1, just because of scarcity, and getting the 5 and 6-star upgrades are so much more valuable than the 1 to 4-star. So I'd favour this path if I wanted to get a mythical tome. So there's a lot of permutations. If you have the 5-star soul and you want to get something extra, equally, if you don't care about getting the 5-star soul and you want to pick up a mythical tome, that's entirely viable as well. You can actually rush down here and get that without actually spending too many points. It will probably be one of the cheaper mythical tomes you're going to find. Now, why do I say that? Well, if you remember from ages ago, we did this detailed experience calculation. I believe there was a guaranteed champion, and it was Hero, Path, and Dungeon Diver crossover. And this is where all these calculations came from. I modelled it up in terms of using chickens, shards, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. But the only thing we're really going to care about is basically pure hero path versus champion training. The ratio is about 2.26 after you've, scaled up to a large number. Obviously, in terms of efficiency, the numbers are different. You can see the breakdown up here in NG efficiency in terms of points we're getting per energy between a hero path and a champion training. The distribution's not perfectly aligned. For instance, in hero path, leveling the 3-star champions gives you the lowest points from energy expended, whereas 2-star gives you a lot, 1-star gives you a lot, and then 4 and 5-star pick back up again as well. So it's like 3-star happens to be very poor in hero path, whereas in CvC it's very good and it's average in champion training. So the distribution's not always consistent, but the overall average is roughly you get 2.26 hero path champion training points compared to a regular champion training, basically. A long way round of saying it. And then I've distributed the rewards here and calculated the pathing. Essentially, the gold path gets you the whatever it is, the 3-star perfect soul. The orange path picks up the 4-star, and the green path picks up the 5-star. Then the blue path gives you a mythical tome plus a bunch of other goodies, but you don't have to get them both. You might say, I don't care about this particular one, which was the tier 3 oil on, say, Phantom Shogun. You might be like, actually, I don't care about that. I'm going to remove that from my equation, and you can just simply go in, edit it out, and that will reduce the number of points you need. I'm going to keep it in because I did some calculations with it in. But again, this is very, like, the blue and Kraken paths are very optional in terms of what you do. And it's really down to your own decisions. But I'd imagine the majority of people watching are considering getting up to the 5-star soul and then potentially, say, a mythical tome thereafter is something that's maybe realistic. And here we're using that 2.26 multiplier. And we're basically saying, if I did the equivalent to a 10,000 champion training, which over 4 days is eminently doable, and we know over 4 days, typically a legendary tome would be between 10 and 15,000, probably 11 and 15,000 in regular champion training equivalents. If I did that and I summoned some shards, what will I get? So what I'm saying is, if you do a 10,000 champion training, summon 1 sacred, you'll pick up the 3-star perfect soul, which doesn't sound too bad. If you pushed it up a little bit and you did a 15,000 champion training and summoned 1 sacred, you would get the 4-star soul, which again actually sounds pretty good. You don't pick up the legendary tome, but you are getting a 4-star perfect soul for essentially doing the work of what you might expect to have to do to get a legendary tome. And I'd probably say a 4-star perfect soul is more valuable than a single legendary tome. So this already seems pretty good value to me, this 4-star soul route. If I pushed up to the 5-star soul, still do 15,000 in champion training, have to summon an extra 11 sacreds to do it, but you will pick up a legendary tome and a 5-star soul. So it's not too bad, because if we think 2x champion chase would probably be ballpark 3,000 points to get the first legendary tome, and if we look at during a 2x on sacred, we'd get about 280 points per shard, so we'd probably expect about 11 shards to pick up that legendary tome. And we're basically paying 11 shards here on top of what we did to get the 4-star soul. And we're picking up a legendary tome and a 5-star split soul. So again, this looks pretty good value. I have to say, like, this actually doesn't look too bad. Now, maybe I've made a massive mistake on the modeling, in which case, please let me know in the comments. But at least as far as I can see it, getting the 5-star soul, you'll pick up a legendary tome along the way, plus a few other decent rewards. And it'll cost 12 sacreds and a 15k champion training equivalent. Now, if you wanted to get that mythical tome and a bunch of other goodies, essentially you got to do an extra 5,000 in champion training and an extra 8 sacreds, which is quite a lot. But you do get a mythical tome and a bunch of tier 3 oil, which is worth a lot in energy in itself. And if you equate energy to gems, then this is actually quite valuable in itself as well. And I also picked up that quarter of a tier 3 stone. So, you don't have to do all of these. We could take, like I said, we could take that out. We could maybe take another bit out. We could maybe drop all of that, and that's 14,000. So that's the equivalent of what, like 3 sacreds. There's plenty of ways of rejigging this, but I personally think I'm going to go for the 5-star soul, and I'll probably look to pick up something extra beyond that. Personally, they seem like reasonably good value way of me getting a 5-star perfect soul for a good champion, which is always useful, and at least 1 legendary tome plus some other good goodies. Ideally, I'd quite like to get a mythical tome because they're quite scarce. And if I jump back to the game, I've obviously booked out my first mythical now. I have 12 mythical tomes left. Critically, I am, if we go to hard mode, I'm at 450 points. Carnage is probably going to be mine at the beginning of next rotation. I'm waiting for free regear to try and beat S19. I don't think I actually beat it last time it was on this rotation, but I feel that with this team, I should be able to get it done, hopefully. And S14, I've now got that second Zargala. I did actually clear it with this team last time this rotation came about, but it was pretty painful on the RNG side. So I have now built this second Zargala, who will hopefully make it a lot easier. And it is doable, but it is a bit painful on the RNG. So again, I'm waiting for the free regear. That would get me, another 40, which would get me to 490. And then I just have to clear, something at the beginning of next rotation to get the 10 to then get Carnage. And I would obviously want to book out Carnage, being my second mythical champion, and obviously one that's a bit more tailored towards Arena, which is probably where I need a bit of help from the old mythicals. So that's 6 books in the second form. And if we go back to the first form, you're looking at five books. So 11 books in total, which would wipe me out. And then what is only one epic away, so it could be forever, is Mikage. Mikage, rather. I managed to correct myself this time before you do in the comments. Mikage. And Mikage's, S tier. And again, we need more books. And, it's 4 in the first form, and in the second form, it's 5. So 9 books. Oh, there we go. I have one on the passive as well. So 10 books in total. And I'm short, basically. I need to start picking up the odd mythical book such that I have enough books to book out both Carnage and Mikage. And I also have 48 primals, so there's becoming a realistic chance I could pull a mythical next time we have 2x on primal. So I've gone from the point of having loads of mythical tomes at 22 and no one to book, so I wasn't really worried about them. But now, having used 10, having pulled a mythical, being quite close to 2 more mythicals, and realizing now I don't have enough books. So the book for me now looks attractive. Anyway, that's basically my strategy when it comes to what I'm going to do on the Wixwell Path. I will pick up the 5-star soul. I will probably push on and do a bit more beyond that. Exactly what distribution I do remains to be seen. In terms of when am I going to summon, I do, as you can see, have 86 sacred shards. So for me, if I drop 20 sacred shards, it's not going to kill me. I still have plenty to do upcoming fusions, and if they do throw a guaranteed, so I am in a position of luxury in that regard. But in terms of who I'm going to target, I don't think it's going to come as any great surprise, but I think it will be Falmond. Just seems sort of the most interesting in terms of an overall champion. I don't have great faction allies across the board, to be honest, on all of them. I mean, if we look at Bannerlords, I probably have the best faction guardians to go along with Aesolin, because I have Androck and wherever he's hiding, Stoutus, but I don't have the crazy duo. But obviously we also will pick up Quintus at some point from Live Arena if I actually play it enough. On the high elf side, Fina would be cool as well. We get an extra turn. I'm not massively fussed about that. It's really what's interesting is the passive here. So you get more damage when they're attacking out of their turn. It really comes down to the 3 faction allies where you get 5% ignored defense per buff, which is pretty cool, but getting 3 faction allies is going to be tough. I do have a Thorian, so you could see an option to do Fina and a Thorian, but beyond that, that's kind of it. I don't have Galathir, who maybe would change my approach. And then on barbarians, obviously we do have Armans, and that is probably the champion that benefits most when you have this whole you deal more damage to targets under stun, and with 2 faction allies you ignore a lot of resistance. But who realistically would I be using with him other than Armans? Like, I don't really see it. I don't see where I would get to use it. So purely as I think Falmond individually is probably the strongest of the 3 faction unity champions by himself, I would be going for him rather than trying to empower other champions I have in a given faction. So I'm going to be summoning my Sacreds during Falmond's 10x, overlapping obviously with the 2x Sacreds. And I'll go, like I said, pick up that 5-star soul and see about getting something a bit extra. I am targeting a mythical tome. So that's it. I hope this video has been helpful to you and helps, make your own decision about what you want to do, how far you want to push down. Like I said, if I have made a mistake, please do let me know. Otherwise, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.